Hey, what's up guys? It's Jo. Welcome back to my channel. First of all, I just want to say before we even get started into today's video, thank you so much for all the love and support on my last video. If you haven't already seen that video, definitely go give it a look-see. I will leave a look-see. What terminology is that? If you haven't seen last week's video, definitely give it a watch. I will leave a link in the iCard. I'm not sure which corner it is. And I will leave a link in the description box down below if you want to binge watch that. I think that you guys seem to really like the more serial killer type content. But this week is going to be a little bit different. So this week I wanted to focus on an issue that I've noticed definitely get a lot more attention over the last month or so. And that issue is violence against children. I'm definitely a supporter of incredible organizations like Thorn and other human trafficking organizations that are really helping fight against the exploitation of children, something that I've been really passionate about for a long time. But today we're going to be talking about a service that all of us are familiar with that helps thousands of children all across the United States. But the topic of today's video is going to be on Amber Alerts and the history of the Amber Alert. I didn't know that there was actually like a story behind Amber Alerts until I started researching for this video. Of course, as always, I'm going to leave all the links to all this information in the description box down below, so if you'd like to do your own research, there are a ton of other cases connected to the case we're going to be talking about today, so definitely give all of those a little click if you are interested. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. So Amber Alert is an acronym for America's Missing Broadcast Emergency Response. And that's all that I thought it stood for, but actually it has a very sad, tragic, and interesting story behind why it's called Amber Alert. Originally, the alert was named for Amber Hagerman, who was a 9-year-old girl who was abducted and murdered in Arlington, Texas in 1996. So rewind, we're going to the same exact time frame as the last video, so we're going to go back to the mid-90s. The year's 1996, it's January, and as you guys know, January in the United States is extremely cold, not a fun time to be around hanging out. And it was an unusually warm day this day, so Amber and her little brother decided that they would go for a bike ride. So there was a local old grocery store in the neighborhood that all the kids used to play at. It was like a grocery store that had been abandoned, and then the parking lot was basically just this wide open space that no one ever parked in. So all the local kids would get together there on their bikes and jump the ramp. And so that day it was a little bit unusually warm. They decided, why don't we go ride bikes down at the grocery store? We'll jump the ramp, it'll be a fun time. So they go down to this grocery store and they are riding around for a little bit. And after a while, her little brother, who is younger than her, is starting to get a little bit tired. So he decides, I'm going to go home. And Amber decided she wanted to stay and ride her bike alone for a little bit longer. Unfortunately, what happens next is extremely tragic, and I do have to say, viewer discretion is advised. At this time, a witness nearby saw a man pull up in a truck, jump out, grab Amber, and pull her kicking and screaming into his car and drive off. This witness immediately called the police, and the police were there within minutes, but unfortunately, though they searched and searched and searched, they could not find Amber. So the witness described her kidnapper as white or Hispanic between the ages of 25 and 40, under 6 feet tall with like a medium build, but that description never seemed to really pan out. I can't even imagine witnessing something like this and feeling so helpless. All that he could do was watch as she was taken and then try to get the authorities there in time, but it was just too late. So 4 days go by, and unfortunately the police, the family, they can't find her anywhere, and a man walking his dog unfortunately finds the body of young Amber. She is completely naked except for one sock, and her throat had been slit. She was found in a creek behind an apartment complex that was less than 5 miles from where she had been abducted. After doing some investigation, they found that she had likely been kept alive for a couple days after her abduction and was sadly killed and then dumped. It really just like hits you different with kids because they're just so innocent, and it's really sickening what people do to young innocent, kids like this. Unfortunately, because of the heavy rains that had come over the past few days and her body being, floating in water, They were not able to get very much evidence, though they did see that she had indeed been beaten and sexually assaulted before she was murdered, which is just horrible. Now, the interesting thing about this case is that the police have been like oddly tight-lipped, probably because they have very minimal evidence to go on. I mean, they don't have her clothes. They were not able to get DNA evidence as far as we know. However, when people have asked about DNA evidence, the police have not been forthcoming. So I would be interested to know if they do have DNA evidence, and as a lot of you I'm sure have seen if you're interested in true crime, a lot of old cold cases are being solved because of DNA and, you know, people like my family doing like, we did the 23andMe, you know? So I think a lot of people are really getting into DNA. So I'd be really interested to see even if they were able to only get, you know, trace DNA on her body, if they'd be able to match that to someone who is in jail. The other thing that I noticed about this case is that this was a very violent and extreme crime. Typically, you know, crimes escalate. They don't just happen all of a sudden. It would be interesting to me to see if there were any other cases similar to this in the area. Maybe he had perpetrated more than once. It'd also be interesting to me to see if maybe this guy is in jail right now, but because of the lack of DNA evidence, they haven't been able to pin it on him. It would just seem odd to me of this being an isolated incident, considering this was not someone that the witness recognized, and this was a smaller community at the time, so definitely had to have been someone, an opportunistic killing, someone that she maybe didn't even know. Unfortunately, 24 years later, her murder still remains unsolved, which is horrible, so unfortunate. However, even though this, you know, doesn't take away the pain and the hurt that her family is going through, there were some incredible things that happened because of this case that have changed the lives of hundreds and thousands of kids forever, and that is the Amber Alert. So following Amber's tragic murder, a local woman who had never even met Amber, her name was Diana Simone, and she contacted local radio stations to see if they could coordinate with police to release information. She really believed maybe if this information about the truck and the suspect and Amber being missing, if it had gone out immediately to the public, perhaps they could have found her before she was unfortunately killed. So that request kind of grew and grew and grew, and it became what we know as the Amber Alert in the US today. And that's just crazy that a woman who didn't even know Amber, had never met her before, just a mother who, you know, could feel the pain that her family must be going through, you know, really took it upon herself to come up with a unique idea to try to help children like Amber in the future. It's so incredible because of this idea that this mother had when her heart went out for Amber. Over 900 kids have been successfully recovered safely, and that's just incredible to know. You know, it doesn't bring Amber back for her family, but it's incredible that she had such a massive impact on the lives of kids all over the country who now haven't met the same fate as her. So what exactly is an Amber Alert? So an Amber Alert is a little message. Sometimes you'll have them pop up on your phone, your computer. I know that you can get alerts for them like through your local news. So typically they'll include the description of the child, whoever might have possession of the child, any car that they might be traveling in, or any other identifying information. Because of this information, people are more aware of their surroundings, especially in that area, and can keep a lookout. Essentially what an Amber Alert is doing is it's giving police thousands of eyes, extra eyes on the road looking for these kids, which when you think about the Amber situation, I mean, that could have been, you know, thousands of extra eyes looking for this little girl. Now, originally, it wasn't just Amber Alert. It was also, you know, there was Levi's Call, There was the Rachel alert. There were like 5 other different alerts regionally based on children that had gone missing or had been murdered in those areas. Now, under like a federal rule, they're all called Amber Alerts, but I would highly, highly, highly encourage you to look into the other cases of these kids who inspired these types of alerts. It's extremely, heartbreaking. It's very bittersweet to read that, these horrible things that happen to these children, but the incredible things that have come because of it, how many children's lives have been saved. I will leave links to a Wikipedia page that has links to those cases, like in the first beginning, like intro part. So definitely look into those and let me know if you want me to cover any of those cases as well. So all that kind of brings me full circle back to the beginning of this video. I know that this is a shorter video than I have been doing, but I honestly just wanted to give myself a little bit of space to talk about, kids going missing and what you can do to really help stop the exploitation and kidnapping of young kids. 800,000 kids go missing every single year in the United States alone. That's 2,000 a day that are reported missing. That's not even including kids that aren't reported missing. It's just so upsetting to think of kids being abducted, possibly being killed or being sold into human trafficking. No child deserves for this to happen to them. That's why it's so, so, so important to be supporting organizations like the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, like Thorn. I'm going to list a ton of organizations and charities that you can support, you can donate to. If you don't have the money to donate, simply sharing them and maybe someone, sharing it on Facebook and someone that maybe can donate as well. Just to spread awareness for what's happening in the world and that there are things we can do to stop it. When you get an Amber Alert on your phone, don't just ignore it. Really read it and keep your eyes peeled, especially if you are in the surrounding area from that Amber Alert. If it wasn't for this witness, calling right whenever he saw something, they may not have even known for a much longer period of time, that she had gone missing. And unfortunately for Amber, her story doesn't have a happy ending. But for another child, it could have a happy ending. If you see something, say something. Again, I know this is a shorter video this week. Sorry about that, guys. But I'm really excited for next week's video as well. We're going to be diving into another unsolved case that I have not heard very much about, so I'm really excited for that. If there are any other cases that you would like me to cover, please drop me a comment below and let me know what cases you'd like to see. Do you want to see more stuff like I did the Catch Me If You Can guide? Do you want to see more serial killer type content? Just leave me a comment. You can also DM me on Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff is also in the description box down below. As always, I hope you guys are having a great day and I will see you in the next one. Be safe. Bye.
I'm super, super, super proud of the Amber Alert. The bitter part, what if there was the Amber Alert, when my daughter was missing. So I have a hole in my heart for her, and I wish I could hear her voice just one more time.